Welcome to End of Black.
Hey, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, let's start off with a question, a softball question. So, what are some of the common misconceptions people have about the cleaning industry?
That you're just a simple cleaner, that you just
Okay.
they don't understand all the different facets and all the different we have people who specialize in mold remediation. We have people who like us, we do extreme decluttering clean outs. We do have people who just do the standard commercial cleaning. Another real big thing is a lot of people do a lot of floor work, carpet cleaning, waxing the floor. So many things that you can really niche it down in cleaning.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that. So, I worked your bio online. I saw you spent many years in the automotive industry. So, how do you go
Yeah.
from automotive to cleaning? Tell me about that process.
I was 8 years in automotive at a wonderful company. I thought I was gonna retire, process engineer, production manager, worked in quality, just really enjoyed working around in different areas. And a lot of people who are outside of automotive don't know that it's up and down cycles. So it goes through every 7 years,
Right.
it gets more lean. So it was going through a lean period like 2018, 2019. It was getting lean where they were starting to ask for buyouts. They were cutting back jobs, wasn't as many promotions. And so I was presented with the opportunity to come to Baltimore and I came and that experience really changed my life. And so for the first time in my life, I really was like, I was like, I don't know if I want to continue to be an employee. And so I
Right.
started looking at franchises. And so I looked at Molly Maid Pro. I looked at UPS store. I looked at a lot of different things. And I talked to my friend who he had a smoothie restaurant down in Atlanta.
Hmm.
And I said, hey, should I go and get a loan or a franchise or should I use the money from my savings? He said, do it yourself. Start it yourself.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm an engineer. I didn't take one business class. How can I
Right.
start a business? But the main thing is engineer teach you problem solving skills.
Hmm.
So I saw COVID starting in 2020. And so I
Right.
saw this problem. I saw this great need for quality cleans, industrial cleaning. And so that's how it all shifted. I just saw a problem and just wanted to solve it.
Okay. Makes sense. So, I saw too one of your niches when you specialize in is decluttering. So, talk to me
Yeah.
about that because we all seen the shows on
Yeah.
TV, on
Hoarding.
cable where the trash is to the ceiling. They never wash dishes. They buy new ones each time. So, talk to me about hoarding and decluttering and how is that something that you can help a client with.
Long story short, like I said, we were just doing regular cleanings. And so we work with a lot of HOAs and property managers. And so we do a lot of move in, move out cleaning. So property management was asking us, HOA actually was saying, hey, we have somebody that needs some help. So we were thinking it was just we were surprised somebody was in there because we normally used to move in, move out. So when me and the cleaners were going in there to just survey, the woman was in a really distressed situation. She had a serious infestation of roaches. She had it was very overwhelming for me because I had never been in a home of that situation
Right.
before. I was like, whew, like this is a lot. This is, not really in my lane. And so as we are about to start, moonwalking back out, she said, hey, just, listen to me for a second.
Right.
And so I was talking to her and she was like, hey, she was like, I'm here by myself. I don't have any children. I've never been married. She was like, I'm from the South, but I moved here for a job. And
Right.
so it's like you're in this catch 2020 where you just go there for Christmas. So you really don't know them, but then you don't
Right.
have any family here. And so for the first time in my life, I was like, this could be me in 30 years. I don't have children. I don't have a husband. And I think a huge part of me listening to her story, it was a fear that I would be in those same shoes. And so
Right.
that conversation just led to us. I remember her code inspection date was February 14th. And so I was just like, I felt very overwhelmed because it was the beginning of
Mhm.
February and I was like, I don't even know where to start. I couldn't even just even getting her, she couldn't even sleep in her bedroom. She was
Oh,
sleeping on the
wow.
couch. And so my first thing was I told her, I was like, we're gonna get you back in that bedroom.
Mhm.
It was just my mission to
Right.
work with her and just return her back to a healthier living condition, and so she changed the whole trajectory of my life, and so what happened from there, she really liked our services, and so she wrote us a letter of recommendation, and then this whole ball started rolling.
Mm.
I didn't even know that this was like a niche. I didn't even
Right.
know that this is something that companies specifically start to do. And so she really changed the whole trajectory of my entire life. And so now
Wow.
we still do commercial cleaning, we still do
Right.
property turnover cleaning for realtors, but our main specialty niche is it's helping those who seniors, anybody who's just having a hard time, who might be in a hoarding home. But our true passion is to help solo agers just return back to a healthier living condition. So that's become our mission and our passion.
Hearing you talk, I hear your passion wanting to help people, whatever stage of life they may be. What are some of the personality traits that you have that help you succeed in this
A
industry?
real quick story. So actually, when I first started the company, in like a my friend that I was telling you about, he's like, "Yeah, you can get a business, call it Elite Emmeline's Elite Cleaners." And
Okay.
you look for these words of prestige like pride cleaning, integrity cleaning, all of those kind of words. And so every time we would go into a decluttering session, we always, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. We were always Mr. Jackson this, Mr. Jackson that. Oh, do you want us to?
Right.
We would be giving them glasses of water in their own house. And we really focused in on making sure that it was an experience, that it's just not an appointment, but this is an
Right.
experience of you feel like you're isolated and forgotten, but this is your one moment to be completely catered to.
Right.
And we really make sure that we have the warmth and the welcomeness. And so then that's when we changed our name of the company to Southern Belle Cleaners because I really wanted to give that experience. So one of the main characters that all of us fortunately have is very welcoming, very,
Right.
hey, no judgment. That we don't have time for judgment. We're
Right.
here in the most sensitive element, which is your home. A lot of people, that's a very sensitive area for people. And so you're allowing us in your space. We want to make sure that you feel that warmth, you feel that compassion that we have for you. So those are two of the main
Okay.
traits that we're really trying to express to our client.
Okay. I love that because if you go on Google, you type in home cleaning, decluttering, you see a million listings. So, besides those
Mhm.
two traits, what stands you apart from other cleaners in the DMV area?
One of our main, I guess, what's that? When you go to all these different classes, they say
Shortcuts.
differentiators.
Right.
You hear it all the time. So one of our main things that really sets us apart from the average cleaner is that we do go into homes that are infestations or a
Okay.
lot of infestations. What I found out early in the process is that it was just like a never ending circle. So what happened is that a property manager or a family member, somebody will
Hmm.
identify a senior more than likely that's in
Right.
a home that has bed bugs, mice, some kind of infestation. So then they'll call the extermination company,
Hmm.
extermination to come out and they're like, we can't put any traps down, we can't
Right.
get through the door, we can't even do our services because there's so much clutter in the home. So they're like, hey, you need to go get this house clean. So then they'll call the cleaning company, and cleaning company's like, we don't go into homes. There's bed bugs in there. There's roaches. There's mice, and so it just creates this whole like. So what are they supposed to do? And so that's one of our major differentiators. Isn't that hey, no matter what's going on in that home, we're there jumping right in and just making sure that those that client can return back to a healthier living condition. So
Right.
that's one of the key things that separates us from a lot of the even the cluttering companies in in this area.
Right. Let's back up some decluttering again. I don't want to erode your business, but what are some steps somebody can take so it doesn't get so bad that they have to, call in yourself and you take your whole team? But what are some of the ways that they can over time they can make sure that they're not
So
beyond
I we
obsolete items?
actually another real quick story. So that first client that changed my life, I
Okay.
met her February 2021 and we got to a nice condition. And our model at the time was go in, do what we got to do, and go out.
Right.
One is hit it and quit it out.
Right.
And that was our model. We were just trying to maximize because even just financially, just trying to keep reoccurring people on the calendar is just not financially it's just too difficult because when
Right.
we get a phone call of an emergency situation, if we're going to Sterling's house every third Tuesday, no, we've got a phone call from Howard County that needs us. And so now we're pushing back appointments. So it
Mhm.
just was it too much of a conflict to continue to give reoccurring. So we didn't even try to do that. We got sent back to the same exact house a year later, almost to the day.
Okay.
And so that's
Okay.
when we really realized, like, okay, we do need to offer a package because one, we've
Right.
already built rapport with them and we want to be a part of their success. We started doing reoccurring cleaning for people who've come through decluttering.
Okay.
But the other thing that came out of that experience of going back to the very first client that we had, the biggest learning lesson for me is we started doing workshops.
Mm.
So we go to
Okay.
a lot of senior centers.
Okay.
Anybody who invites us, hey, if anybody
Right.
here, you want to meet about, come and invite me out. So we do is the classes are called Clean Like a Bell. And
Okay.
so we come out there, we give because what we want to let people know is that the more intentional you are about things, the more
Right.
success you'll have. Because a lot of things, it's just it is a way of life. We
Right.
buy more items, but we're not releasing more items. So we do a whole process of quarterly evaluations of things, and we encourage people to do the simple things of have the three boxes,
Right.
keep, donate, trash. And
Right.
so some of our from those workshops, some people we just do junk removal. They've gone through, they've cleaned out a closet.
Right.
For instance, my mom, she was a teacher for years. She wore certain kind of shoes because she was standing up all the time.
Mhm.
She's retired over 5 years. These shoes are still in your closet. You're never going to wear them. These were
Right.
only for this. And so it's what it is. It's just intentional. So we give out these calendars
Mhm.
of just areas to focus on because a lot of times people feel overwhelmed. And so what they'll do is they'll have a whole room where it's just out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
They just go, they'll stuff something in there and it's out of sight, out of mind. What we practice is being intentional and taking little pieces at a time. And so we don't even say, hey, do this whole entire area. Hey, just start with the bottom part of the closet.
Right.
So all May, you're just moving things out of the bottom closet, bottom part of the
Okay.
closet. You're finding checks that you used to use that you didn't want to. Now you can go to Kinko's and you can shred.
Right.
You told yourself you were gonna shred them, you never shredded them. And then you finding old shoes from your child. It's all
Right.
these different kinds of things that just accumulate. And so we really just
Mhm.
practice making sure that people so at our workshop and like I
Right.
said, we welcome going out to anybody, but we do it at a lot of senior centers. It's just being intentional
Right.
about what you bring in. A lot of times, a lot of seniors like to go to secondhand stores. I tell them if you secondhand it one way, secondhand it the other way. So when you
Right.
walking in the door, hand them something before you go in the door, you bring something out the door. So it's really just being intentional and just really making sure that you're really being true to yourself. The things serve value anymore. Well, I'll tell you this and then we can move on. So one thing that I really had to realize even for myself. So I said I moved here in 2019. My grandmother passed in 2019. Of course, the family goes through the house and they're like, I want this at grandmama's, I want that at grandmama's. Everybody's grabbing things. Me and my aunt went down there, I guess maybe a month later. And so I really didn't see anything down there that just I was like, I got to have this as a memory. And so she was a big church hat. And so my aunt was like, I gave her this hat for Mother's Day, such and such a time. And I said, hey, I should have a memory. Everybody else got quilts and different things. Let me have a memory of my grandmother. So I came home, I put it on my desk in my office. It went from my desk in my office to the shelf in my office. In December, when I was packing up my house, when I was about to move here from Tennessee, I thought about it and I was like, man, am I going to take this hat from Tennessee to Maryland, put it in an apartment for a little while. Then once I buy a house, I'm moving this hat again. And I really thought about it. I just took a picture with me in the hat, and that memory is still with me. It
Okay.
didn't, and I gave that hat to somebody who's probably wearing that hat proudly every Sunday.
Right.
They're putting that hat on. And so that's what I really try to let people know is that even if you release the item, you're not releasing the memory.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That was my next question. A few years ago,
Mhm,
I moved my grandmother from her house to a smaller apartment, and that what
mhm,
happened. She was standing there by the door, and there was so much bond to these items or that chair or that sofa. But I love the idea of taking a picture and having the memory
mhm.
of that item.
Yeah, we have started not we've been doing it for a while now, but we have shadow boxes
Okay.
because it is some items that it you might never use, but they
Right.
hold value. So I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and we have a pen. You don't wear it on a no, you don't wear it to sorority meeting. You don't wear it on the, but that's your pen that you were given during your initiation. It means a lot. So even though it's not functional, it's a memory. So you put in a keys box, but then we'll go through and we'll see every Christmas card from coworkers that you didn't even speak to, and you have, so that's the kind of stuff that we try to evaluate. Like, what are things that are truly functional that we need to keep, and what are things that are ready for us to release so we can get our space back. I
Right.
went into one room and told me she had a whole bin for 4 children from kindergarten to senior year. Every single report card, she put them in
Right.
notebooks.
Mhm.
And I said, "You're not cleaning this area because I know you're not moving this bin to clean this area. You got air quality issues." I said, "And to be truthful," I said, as soon as you pass, that's gonna be the first thing they all throw away." So I was like, "Let's reclaim our own space."
Right.
That look at the diploma, take a picture of the diploma, the end
Right.
result. Like these individual report cards
Excellent.
all accumulated to this diploma.
Right.
Get copies of all the diplomas, put them up on the wall. They're not taking any room away from you. And then let that be the memory instead of holding on to
Right.
this bin of accumulations that now we don't even have anymore because now they're all on the
Right.
internet.
Yeah. That's tough. I have two young boys in daycare, and every day when I was in school, it was like that. They bring home about 20 projects total. So we have literally clear bins full of hallway closet of projects. And yeah, that's a good point. These are milestones. I can get rid of these again. But yeah, once again,
Mhm.
things do have those values and those memories. But I love your strategies about how to overcome that and how to share that.
Yeah, and I tell people, "Keep one." Like, I'm
Yeah.
not getting
Thank
used to my mom used to give me books when I would do well in
you. Mhm.
school, which I was like, "How is this a treat to get another book?" But anyway, but I was going through some items book after college, and I saw where she wrote these notes to me in
Okay.
each of these books. So I was
Right.
keeping the books, and then one day I just thought about it. Let me just rip all the sheets of paper, get rid of all of these books because it's the note that really meant something to me. And so
Right.
those are the kind of things, just be functional about it. What is the best use of your space and the best
Right.
use of that? It doesn't diminish the memory. I don't need the whole 300 page book. I just
Right.
needed the notes from my mother. Mhm.
Okay. Great. So on the same line of decluttering, I've been driving around, going to Target, Walmart, and I see a car, and the wheels are low to the ground, and it's full of papers, full of trash. So, do you also do mobile decluttering? Just
So we really don't do a lot dealing
okay,
with actual people. Most of the time we're sent by agency.
okay,
And that's one of the things that I learned through classes
right,
is who is your ideal client? So I really realized my ideal client is 60 to 85 in a cluttered home, don't have children or anybody who's directly assisting them. But
right,
what I also learned about solo agers is that I was about to say me, but I'm not a solo ager yet. But our finances, solo single people's finances are completely different than when a married couple age.
right,
So not only do they are they concerned about their level of they're way more conservative with money because
mm,
they're usually on a lot tighter budget
Right.
than 2 Social Security checks, 2 401(k)s, 2 pensions. So I really realized my ideal client is not able to pay for me a lot of times. So it's better for me to partner with other agencies that
Right.
they are already servicing this senior and then adding my service on as just additional assistance for them.
Right. That makes sense. Okay.
Mhm.
So, what
Mhm.
is the future of some of Bell's cleaners? Are you going to expand past the DMV? What are your future plans and future offerings?
Oh, I a million things going on now. But so it's a lot of things that, because like I said, this is the first time I've applied for a million jobs when I was at my automotive career. I worked in applied, got some, didn't get some. And this is the first time I didn't apply for something. This is the first
Hmm.
time something chose me
Right.
instead of me choosing it. I really want to make sure that I'm living to the potential of what I know I've been brought for and just try to with solving the problem with the cleaning. And then, like I told you, the next thing was the workshops. So next
Right.
thing is so where we want it to be prevention. So next step is we're trying to do a declutter planner. So we want to put that on Amazon and Walmart where people can buy and be intentional about how they handle and process their decluttering. And then also we want to offer more talks. Not only do we do a prevention decluttering workshop to clean like a bell, but we also like to share our opinion about what we call leading with love. Leading with
Right.
love. And we call it just a conversation that you're having when you have a loved one who's dealing with hoarding. And so we really have noticed, especially in our community, in the Black community, we can be very dismissive to a person. And when a person is already isolated, when a person is already dealing with a lot of different, to get to a cluttered home, and hoarding is an actual diagnosis. When people come up to me like, my grandmother's a hoarder, I don't even go through the whole correction of did the doctor tell you that, or are you just a lot of
Right.
times it's not your grandmother's a hoarder. She's had your stuff, your parents' stuff in her house. She's been living in the house for 30 years. She's on a fixed income, so she doesn't want to throw things away because she doesn't want to have to buy other items. So it's a lot of different things that can be the reason why a house is cluttered, other than hoarding. But we have really found that we want to give people more positive approaches. So we spoke at different organizations like the National Alliance of Mental Illness. And so we really like to share more positive approaches for people when they're dealing with a loved one that might be in a cluttered home. So that's the next steps are just, working on other ways that we can be a part of the prevention of a cluttered home. And then also
Right.
helping others as they're dealing with a loved one who's in a cluttered home. And of course, expansion last summer. And then we're probably going to do a couple of this year as we went outside of the DMV area and we did some garage clean outs. And
Okay.
so we eventually we do want to expand in that way,
Right.
but we're not just more trying to expand the decluttering services. We just want to also bring more awareness to the entire
Right.
situation because COVID really brought a lot of people more isolated in.
Right.
A lot of seniors were in homes where at least that great nephew was coming over and tidying. Well, for a whole year, he wasn't allowed in the building. Now he's that uncle is in a situation where now he doesn't want anybody to be into the house. And so now he's further isolated because he doesn't want to let anybody in because he's ashamed. But then how are we going to fix it if we aren't opening the door? So
Right.
it's a lot of conversation that we need to have, and especially in our community now that we are speaking about mental illness a whole lot more and embracing the conversation that, hey, depression happens. Loss of a job, loss of a loved one, loss of a pet. These are real things that affect people. When I sometimes we don't show a lot of pictures, but sometimes I've showed pictures of our past work, and people are like, "It's no way I could be in that situation."
Right.
But you never know. You don't know what that straw that might break your camel's back. And so we're not there to judge, but we're there to bring awareness. So that's really next steps for us. It's just bringing awareness to that, hey, they just need help and assistance.
Okay. What's one thing, if you go back in time, you tell yourself about starting Southern Bell Cleaners?
Lord have mercy. Don't start a website and it's not your company name. Lord have mercy. Where do I start? Don't think that you're a business just because you're a business and you're not registered with the state. I technically feel like I started November 2020, but I didn't learn until I went to a bank in March or May of 2021. I think May of 2021. And he was telling me, he was like, this isn't a business account. And I was like, I put all my business money in this account. He was like, are you registered with the state of Maryland? And I was like, no. I was like, how do you do that? And so he was like, you have to be in good standing with the state, so then we can open you up it's a business account. That's a whole list of, of lessons learned. But and like I said, from the very beginning of my journey, that was initially the reason why I wanted to lean on the franchise. And that's what my friend even indicated to me. He said, you can go with the franchise and they can bring out marketing, lay out all of these things for you. And this is how to start a business. Or you can do it and you get a lot more bumps and bruises, but you're doing it your way. And the best decision that I did make was doing it my way, because when I met that woman that changed my whole life, if I was with
Right,
Molly May, that doesn't fit into their services. So I wouldn't have been able to completely pivot and change and go into what I feel like is truly what I'm meant to do. I would have had to be forced to stay into just standard residential cleaning. And so that's the advantage of going with a startup. So, but the downfall is all the downfalls,
right,
all the pitfalls. I started a website and it's Featherville Cleaner because the S was already taken. And I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. Like, that's the name of your business. And so it's just all kinds of little different
right,
things that if I was to tell myself 20, I would have said, hey, just go ahead and sign up for classes right then and there, because once I started taking the classes, started going to the different organizations that were trying to help small startup businesses, then I really got on track. But just even if somebody had told me in 2020, like, you have to do marketing, you have to sell, you have to be able to convince somebody to buy your service, I might still be making cars. Like,
right,
I might still be making cards if somebody
right,
told me, like, the day that I realized that this is a lot bigger than me, for some reason, oh, my battery had died. And so I was taking a picture with one of my cleaner's phones, and a notification came up and it said Emily Pay. And it was when the payment hits the deposit. And I looked on her calendar, and every Tuesday at whatever time it had Emily Pay,
right,
and she put it on her calendar. And that's when I really realized this is a business. This is somebody's family is eating off
right.
of you marketing, off of your sales, off of your leadership. And so if somebody had told me that in 2020, I still would have did it, but those are the kind of things that I just had to learn along the way.
Listeners, how can they find you?
I am Southern Bell Cleaners DMV, Instagram, LinkedIn, website. I need to work on my Facebook page. I'm not as good with Facebook as I should be. And I had told myself I'm going to start doing YouTube more. I need to really utilize. So I did take the first step and take it out of my personal name and change it to the company name. But it's hard for me to post videos only because I had this conflict within myself about doing a lot of before and after pictures, just because one, we're in people's homes at the most private moments. So the only ones that we actually show are ones that where people have been evicted. And so they're no longer
Okay. Right.
their homes. We're just there to more help the property management company. And so I don't feel a bad posting those. But for the video thing is a little bit more difficult for me. And so
Right.
I have to work about just finding different content to post on YouTube. But connect with me, Southern Belle Cleaners, DMV, and it's Bell with the E. And so that's another thing that I learned. That was another learning lesson is when you pick a company name, you need to think about if it's how do I put it? Like a not a colloquialism, but I didn't realize until I was talking to one of my clients who is native to India. And he was like, why do you spell Bell so weird? And that was the first time I really realized Southern Belle is an American thing.
Okay.
Like a person who isn't, they haven't seen Gone with the Wind. They don't know about cotillion. So that was the first time I really thought about that. I was like, man, I thought this was the cutest little name for a company, but I really
Right.
realized that it might not connect with
Mm.
people who are not native to America. So
Well, thank you once again for being on the podcast, hearing about your story, your challenges, your successes. It's been great. So, to our listeners, be sure to tune in next week as we interview another successful minority entrepreneur right here in DMV. And always, before we leave, I'm going to leave you with a closing quote. Remember, in today's competitive business landscape, your business must embrace bold and innovative strategies to sustain profitability and stay in the black. We'll see you next week.